This show features compelling news, reviews, and interviews on hot, trending topics in the adult entertainment industry. I am your host, Charlie Spice. Hope you enjoy the show. Do you have a sexy voice, excellent communication skills, and a great media personality? Then we invite you to become a host of the new talk show for the adult entertainment industry. As our host, you will interview the sexiest strippers, escorts, porno performers, and other adult entertainers worldwide. You will also interview owners and managers of all types of adult businesses around the world. If you're interested in this opportunity, please visit our website for more details at adultindustrytalk.com. Would you like to make $500 to $5,000 per week with Adult Industry Talk? Join our affiliate program. Simply place our banners on your website and promote our multimedia promotion packages to all your followers and friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media networks. For more information about our multimedia promotion packages and how to become an affiliate, visit our website at adultindustrytalk.com. Okay, we're back in the studio. I'm your host, Charlie Spice, and you're tuned into Adult Industry Talk. With me in the studio this morning is Mr. Terry Stevens, who is the chairman of the UK Adult Producers Association, or UKAP. Hello, Terry. I want to thank you very much for coming on our show. I know that you would rather be shooting a porn scene with very sexy performers, but tough luck. You're stuck with me for the next 10 or 15 minutes. How are you doing, Terry?
Good morning, Charlie. How you doing?
I'm very good. As you know, I'm in Barbados in the Caribbean, and of course that begs the question, because I see your picture and I'm just wondering, do you have any Caribbean roots?
I do indeed, and don't get mad at me, but my mum's from Jamaica.
I will forgive you for that.
we know the differences with our cultures. I know, but listen, we're all on the same planet.
Absolutely. I'm just going to read a very short excerpt from your website, which goes like this: UKAP is an adult Content Producers Association offering its members the means by way of professional advice and experience to legally and effectively produce, manufacture, distribute and promote its products in a competitive global marketplace. What can you add to this in terms of your objectives?
I can say that UKAP has been around for over 15 years, 12 if we consider that we've been running officially. And that all of that was necessary because our industry in the UK came out of a business that was illegal at one point, and a lot of people don't know that today. I think with webcamming, the industry's kind of been democratized by technology. Now anyone can do it.
Yes.
So therein is the problem. If anybody can pick up a camera or an iPhone now, start shooting content and put it on a clip platform, a lot of them don't understand what they've signed in for.
Yes.
So what they've signed up for doing that on a legal basis. And I'll give you an example. Most people shoot themselves and do solo videos and they promote themselves, and that's fine. But, there are millions of people that are using this platform now, and a lot of them are quite ambitious. They want to make better products, but they don't understand how they can release it, how they can market it better. I think the internet has given them that kind of false sense of freedom.
Certainly, I can understand that.
And as producers, we say, look, if you're a producer and you've got content out there, then you are welcome to attend one of our meetings, see if we're a good fit for you. If you like what we talk about and what we are about, then feel free to join.
Yeah, this must create, excuse me, Terry, this must create such a challenge for UKAP because it's become more like a cowboy state. If anyone can do it, every Tom, Dick and Harry is in. Tell me some of the challenges that presents for your organization.
It kind of causes a little bit of dissension, really. Because if you've got so many people doing it and so many people doing it badly, I'll give you an example of that. Like, for instance, back in the day when I got into the business, I remember there was a guy called Ben Dover who was like the institution of producers at the time, because he was successful, he was making product, and he was distributing it worldwide. Then we had the cottage industry, like the amateur market, where people like myself, that's where I started from. And I think back then I was kind of considered the vein of the industry, because, again, I came into it not knowing. I was selling it illegally, okay? And naughty me, I was also pirating Bendover stuff. He knows about this. This is how we met. Every cloud has a silver lining, yeah? But, that's the point, because I just simply didn't know. Now, we're creating a support group for people to elevate their own business. And you might think, well, why would you want to encourage competition? I say because by encouraging competition, we're actually making our business more stronger. We're becoming bigger in numbers, and we have more of a voice to speak to the government with. And we have had the government at our meetings. We've had that. We've been to meetings where the Home Office was there. We've had all kinds of people come to our meetings, all kinds of guests. And this is what real producers do, because if we're mirroring the mainstream industry, even the mainstream film industry, Hollywood, Pinewood Studios here in the UK, if you look at their directory, they're involved with all levels of the business, textiles, catering. It's the one industry that gets involved with all the other industries. And we want to know why adult content producers can't be the same. And, we have been making inroads. We have created new opportunities on the back of being an adult. I'll give you an example of that. There's a show called Game of Thrones, a little known show called Game of Thrones. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yes, I have.
Well, we've been responsible. I'll say we've been responsible. We're instrumental in putting girls forward, because there have been casting agents, or rather these sub-agents, who've come to us to say, oh, look, I need a girl who's all natural, no tattoos, this, that, and the other. They can't name one girl. So basically, we're doing their jobs for them.
Fantastic, fantastic. I have a question. Go on. Okay, let me.
Because we're very familiar with all the girls, because we do the UKAP awards as well. Between us, there's about 20 solid members. We have a bunch of tertiary affiliates, if you like. People who attend the meetings but aren't members. So we can have a meeting with up to 50 people in the industry at any one time.
Yes, okay. Let me interject, Terry. Let's go back a bit. When you first started, and I would say, am I correct in saying you were sort of a pirate operator at that time? Back in
the mid-90s when I started, I got into it because I was working a regular job, and I didn't. I was getting bored of it, and I was working 3 jobs at one point, and then I just had this crazy idea one day. I thought, I'm not going to ever make any real money working 3 jobs, so I had to do something dodgy.
I can imagine. Hard choice.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to get a sense of the market and the industry at that time. You just got started. You were a pirate operator. There are not many people around. Was the organization obviously was not around at that time? Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, UKAP was born out of. I would say necessity, but it came about by accident because there was a whole bunch of producers that met up at a show called Erotica that we had at Olympia in London. And most of us had to stay in a hotel nearby. I can't remember what the name of the hotel was, but it was through that chance meeting we all got on. We all met up in the bar, and we all knew each other, or we heard of each other on the forum called the BJFD. And it's like, oh, you're so-and-so. And we all sat down, ordered drinks. And because we all had money, we all ordered drinks. And next thing you know, none of us left the table until, we better go to the show later on. So we thought, we pop in for about an hour, have a walk around and come back and say, yeah, it's boring. And we kind of enjoyed each other's company. And then I remember specifically, it was one producer that said, isn't this amazing that we all met each other and we all got on? No one was rubbishing each other's product. No one was saying I was better than you. We all just talked as men.
How do you compare the challenges, Terry? How do you compare the challenges back then when you first started, and there are not many people around, to the challenges you have today? So let's talk about the challenges back then. First of all, could you make money back then? Was there money about in the business?
Back then we were making money hand over fist.
Wow.
I mean, that's the appeal of the business back then, because and that's when I got into it. I was on a roll, and I think that's why I'm a big fan of UKAP today. I mean, but most people have seen me as its natural leader, if you like, because of my years of experience, and also because of my drive in doing it. Because I wouldn't expect anybody to kind of have the same motivation as I do. In terms of, because this business can be really hard work, especially a lot of the younger, some of the I wouldn't even say some of the new models. Some of the new models are actually quite respectful of health, but some of the more established ones who came in at the top end kind of looked down. What the hell is this organisation? What do you do? Yes. And I think, do you know what? If you don't get it, you just don't get it. It's that simple.
That's right. You shouldn't be you're in the wrong place, I would imagine. But tell me what are the challenges today to making money in this industry? I know that there's so many people involved. Technology has made it very easy for anybody to get into the industry. What are some of the barriers to making money in the industry today?
At the moment, the biggest issue facing producers in the UK is age verification coming in next April, which is going to come in with enforcement. And the BBFC, the British Board of Film Classification, have been tasked with overseeing that operation. Who's going to be actually enforcing it is another matter. Enforcement, we're told, is going to be, it could possibly be, it's not been confirmed yet, trading standards. But the other thing that people need to worry about is that, what we need to know is that enforcement may not be like how it was back in the day, because I got raided by 8 police officers back in the day, and I had a two-year court case as a result of that. Now, a lot of people today, this is going to be alien to a lot of people today, because they think, what, raided for doing porn? It's not like you're selling drugs, is it? Exactly, it's not. But that's the way the law was back then. Yes. And there was a whole division set up for it. I mean, I used to... when I said I was a pirate, I also used to work for shops down Soho, and I think that's probably where I learned the craft. Because the people in the industry, if you're in the club, if you're like in a circle, they know they can trust you. Then you can find yourself working for people, and back then, because a lot of people had money and people had shops to run. When they got raided, they needed a quick stash. So basically, you get taken down to the police station. Get booked in. 2 hours later, you have to go back to the shop because you've got to pay your rent that week. So what they needed, they'd call me. My particular shop would call me. It wasn't my shop, but I worked for this guy. And he'd tell me I got raided, I need stock. So can you get down here in an hour? Yeah, sure. I'd grab a whole bunch of titles, put them in a sports bag, and run down to Leicester Square. Yes. Run into the shop, give him the bag, and that's it. That was our operation back then.
I've always heard that one of the pioneers or the big wigs in this industry was the owner of the Sun newspaper. He was
David Sullivan. Yeah, I've met him. Yeah, nice bloke. Yeah.
He gets
a lot of flack.
What's his name again?
David Sullivan.
That's correct. I met him in Barbados actually one time on the West Coast.
Why am I not surprised that he's been to Barbados?
Yes, David Sullivan. That's right. Okay, tell me some of the events over the years in terms of legislation that have impacted the industry either in a negative or positive way.
Right. Okay. None of it's ever been positive. We've always had people like the government trying to creep into the adult industry, and frankly, from what I've seen, again, this is what fuels my fire, if you like, in being outspoken, is that every time they've come at us, I've always seen it as very dubious. But if I can give you just a little brief history of our business. There's a great film coming out soon called Hardcore Guaranteed. Yes. And it's about a guy who pioneered the industry, the British porn industry, in the 60s. Yeah, okay. And his story was no different from that in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and up till present. But the interesting thing is that the game has changed, and the way the government has come at us. First and foremost, it was how they come at us is always about the money. So I've learned to understand the motives behind the government is not it's not an altruistic one. It's not when they say they're protecting the children from pornography. Rubbish. We've already been self-regulated. There's been filters on the internet for years. All parents must need to know is how to use them.
Yes.
So the government could have done simple things like, public information, infomercials. You know what infomercials are?
Yes, of course, yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, cool. Okay. They could have done things like that on TV just to protect their children. They have got literature out. The government have issued literature. But one of the things I found out about the government when we started having meetings with them at the DCMS in Whitehall is that they are in a massive building with loads of cubicles, with loads of people who are just in charge of their department. So they're incredibly nice people when you meet them. They'll listen to you. They'll listen to the fact that, you're running an adult business, and they'll say, okay. And they know the necessity of the public when it comes to looking at pornography. They do honestly feel that as an adult you have every right to look at pornography. So they're not that backward. They're not that moral-minded about it.
Okay.
But the thing that comes into it, ever since, I'll give you a little bit of a history now from when I came into the business. We've always had something called the BBFC, and porn was only legal. Ironically, porn became legal the week I was sentenced in my 2-year court case.
Yes, okay.
Which is strange because hardcore was available in magazines. Your hardcore we define as seeing actual physical penetration. I think people have a very different definition of what hardcore is now. I think these days hardcore includes throttling and gagging and all that extreme stuff that goes on. But we can talk about that another time. But back then, though, hardcore was considered for actual sex.
Tell the audience, Terry, what was your sentence? What was the outcome of your court case?
The outcome of my court case, they charged me with conspiracy to distribute. They knew I made a lot of money because they had me under surveillance for 6 months. I know this because when my lawyer told me he saw the dossier of the case that he was about to look at, he said, you've been under surveillance for 6 months. And I thought, you know what? I'm a man that doesn't have enemies, so I'm not going to be looking over my shoulders. And I went, yeah, okay, so what did they come up with? What, I was selling tapes every day? Yeah, you know what? Guilty as charged. I mean, I was making $6,000 a week. And I guess, and at the time, there was another big case at the time where in Holland, where they claimed they referred to them as a Mr. Big. I actually know who Mr. Big is right now, but I'm not at liberty to say because it came out in conversation as a result of UKAP. A lot of things came out as a result of UKAP. So, of course, the result of my they tried to do me for conspiracy, which is a very tricky case to get out of. So I needed a really good brief. And thankfully, there's always been expert lawyers in terms of obscenity law. These days, our main hero of the moment is a guy called Miles Chapman. So if anybody gets done for porn, you call Miles Chapman, all right?
I'm going to have to get him on the show. I want to get him on the show, actually. I saw him on your website.
He's a really great guy. He's an excellent conversationalist as well. You'll get a lot from him. He's brilliant. And plus, he's been our rock for the past few years in terms of combating APVAD and other privacy, because at the moment the biggest thing at the moment is the privacy issue with the new age verification laws coming in. But sorry, I'm just jumping ahead there. So where was we? We was talking about in 2007.
I tell you, before you continue, let me just say, for those who just joined us, you're tuned into Adult Industry Talk. I'm your host, Charlie Spice, and with me is Terry Stevens of UKAP, the UK Adult Producers Association. We're talking about, of course, the association, and we'll soon get into a discussion about his role as the chairman. The chat room is open. If you want to join us, you can send us a message in the chat room. You can certainly give us a call on Skype. My Skype ID is Charlie Spice. Just give us a call and we'll be happy to invite you into the studio if you have any questions or comments to make about the porn industry or the association. Okay, Terry, I want to talk a bit about society's attitudes and how it relates to actual performers. Let's talk about, like, for example, due to stigmatization and other attitudes of society, it can be very difficult for porn performers to quit the industry and fit back into a mainstream job or lifestyle. What advice would you offer someone who's concerned about this?
Well, we have discussed this at a UKAP meeting. We were concerned by the attitudes towards, there's a lot of people in our industry who are very educated. I'm not sure what perceptions people get of people when they decide to do get into the adult industry, but a lot of people do come from very interesting backgrounds. And one of the things that I would say to anybody, and unfortunately the outcome of this meeting was we all came to the same conclusion, is that if you don't like the heat, don't get out the kitchen.
Correct.
Basically, you shouldn't really get into it in the first place. I mean, this is one of the things why UKAP was set up, because we believe in helping people if they want to leave and realign with society. With what we call Civvy Street. We say you can do it. And it's been done in many ways. The most obvious way you've probably seen in America is where they renounce the industry. They find religion and then they renounce it, and then it's like, the industry was bad. I don't know why I got into it. Back in the day, I needed the money and the thing like, well, do you know what? First and foremost, one of the things I ask people when they come into this business, if you're doing it for the money, don't do it at all. I said, if you really want to do it, then you might want to think about escorting, where you can do things discreetly. But I said,
Yes.
you're choosing a business where you could become notorious for it.
Yes.
If you're any good at it, you could become a star. And what happens with people who become stars? They become household names. That means that everybody knows what you're doing. So I cannot guarantee, okay? I said, don't forget, I make product. So therefore, I make it for the internet. And
Yes.
the internet, there's no lying about the internet. I can't guarantee your friends and family are not going to see what you're doing. I don't even know who your friends and family are to avoid them.
What are the policies of UKAP in terms of condom use and other aspects of sexual health within the porn industry in the UK?
We're very big on sexual health. One of the biggest issues at the moment we're talking about is mental health, because nobody talks about that in the industry. But it is a big problem, because we've seen some people hurting really badly out here, and we know what the problem is. And we're thinking, well, how do we get them help without them feeling that we're being all namby-pamby?
Yes.
As an association, we got to be careful with that, because it's a very sensitive area. So we've got people who are professional, who are qualified, there to help. And one of them is a girl called Kelly Berg. You probably know her as Kelly Stafford. I don't know if you know who Kelly Stafford is.
No, I haven't, but I'll be keen to have a chat with her to get her on the show, actually. That would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I think Kelly's got enough respect now where people don't pass her off as just a porn star. I mean, she was a different kettle of fish as a porn star anyway. I mean, she was always like the woman in charge. She was never, despite all the extreme scenes she's ever done, she's never been, I would say, a victim. Even though she just classes herself as a sub, I think a lot of people don't seem to understand, to be a sub, you have to be strong to be like that. It's not weak. It's not like you're throwing yourself out there and you're a victim. Somebody who's a sub is probably a very strong personality to begin with.
Yes.
They're just allowing themselves to be submissive. They're kind of transferring that power to you because of trust.
I just had a thought, with organizations like yours and others around the world, because there are quite a few of them, and the industry is becoming more structured, better organized. And I think that we are defying society's stereotypical view of who is in the industry and the sort of personalities we are. And the more we defy their stereotypical view, the more upset they become. It's like, how dare you start an association? How dare you speak articulately on air, for example? I mean, I can imagine people are listening to you right now and saying, like, who the fuck does he think he is talking? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Those people,
for Christ's sake.
I live to annoy those people every day. It's like, I would say, how dare you think that everybody in porn's doing drugs and everybody's having a great time? We're in a different era now. That we are about the business. I mean, look at MindGeek. I mean, everyone seems to think they're a porn company. No, they're not. They're an IT company. Okay, they don't sell themselves. If you look at their business site, they do not sell themselves as a porn company. Now, this is a big multinational company now that's worth something now. I don't know what they're worth, but they're worth a lot, all right?
Yeah.
And their whole front is as a civil or a civilized IT company.
Yeah.
But they bankroll some of the biggest studios in the world.
Okay.
So when you think about it, there is a new world order in terms of people having an organised approach to it, because ultimately it is all about business. Where money is concerned, it's always going to be about business. And that's where UKAP comes in, because, we were set up to protect the little guy, because most of us were the little guy back in the day. When I say little guy, some of us had TV contracts and people involved in broadcast and everything. But there were very few doing that. Most of us came from a cottage industry where technology facilitated, like, we bought cameras and we bought editing, and, we were upping our game. Today, I see an extension of that.
Yes. Okay.
So it makes sense now that people coming into the business may come into it for the fun aspect of it, but the lines between performer and producer have been blurred now, because a lot of performers shoot their own content. Yeah. So now they're having to learn to shoot. They're having to be disciplined in organising with other people. So now they're having the same politics as producers.
Yes,
and it's not easy.
Yeah, I see the way technology is improving the adult industry. It's a phenomenal technology out there that enables you to do it all and do it very easily and do it very quickly and without massive budgets, and be competitive with those who have massive budgets. That is very interesting. What I would like to do at this point is get back to the organization. I want to tell me something about the infrastructure. You are the chairman of the organization. Who are the members of your team?
As the members of our team now, we've kind of broadened our scope when it comes to membership now. Before it was an exclusive producers club, because we were set up to protect producers' interests, but that was about 6-7 years ago. Since I've been in charge of it, I mean, I've been one of the founding members of UKAP, but I kind of took a back seat and just let other people, and I became a number two to many people, like an advisor, consultant over the years. Yeah. But I ended up finding myself becoming a chairman. And our members today consist of other producers. If you look at our site and also our UKAP award site, you'll see a lot of the people that are involved with supporting UKAP. And they are similar producers, people who supported our events, like Ben Dover, who everyone knows is an institution in himself. There have been companies, members like the Paul Raymond magazines are new members, Television X are new members.
So can any company become a member as long as they have some involvement with a adult or porn industry?
Yes, yes, they can do. Even people who are prospectors in the adult industry can come along, but not to the members' meeting. The members' meeting is a closed door affair, because there might be things discussed that we don't want to make public. A sensitivity to some of our members. They might have personal issues, like with models. Or there might, it happens, and therefore there's something that we can't discuss or release, because it's a safe space for producers to be able to talk freely. Whereas in the general meeting, I told them I'll record it specifically to inform those who couldn't make it what was said on the day. So I'll record it. So I'll make the recording available online, which is on itsadult.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but we do that in the interest of transparency, because for years a lot of people thought we were just like a secret little organisation. Dare I say it? Some people even thought we were a little bit dubious in that way because of our lack of information. I thought, well, there's nothing special what we talk about, but you know what? I'm going to record a meeting. You'll get to see all the things we talk about and then some. And we have 2-hour meetings.
I think it's a brilliant idea to have your meetings as a podcast. I listened to one of your meetings, by the way. I've done my research, and I thought it was a very good idea to podcast it and make it public. A very, very good idea. And it was very informative as well. How does one or an organization become a member of UKAP?
Before, it was simply just emailing us and just joining, but we've stopped that because we want to meet people face to face now, because we want to make sure that they're all producers, or they're interested in producing at least. So we will insist that they come to the next meeting. We have 4 meetings a year, and it's usually to make it worth people's while. We normally have an event. We've done things like screenings and Q&As with directors after the meetings, or we've had a party, like we piggyback on the Paul Raymond parties, or it could be at the back of one of our own events, like we've had the barge parties, and we've had the UKAP Awards, of course. The reason why we feel, I think we're the only association that does parties with the intention of mainly networking, because it's a good time for producers to get to meet new models and performers. Because I think that face-to-face thing with people means a lot. I mean, for years, I'm a big fan of it because I met some of the best people I've ever shot with from social events like Erotica, for instance.
Yes.
You go around, you meet people, they know you're a producer, they want to work for you, and then the good thing is you can start to find out what their limits and what they're like as a person, so you can make a happier shoot if you like.
Yeah, interesting. What government legislation and policies would UKAP like to see change to improve the porn industry in the UK?
I would like to see freedom of trade because mail order is still illegal. It's been illegal forever in this country. You can't sell porn by mail order. Yeah, you can't send legally. You can't really sell porn through the mail either. I mean, I know that a lot of people do content share, and they probably stick it on a USB and send it in an envelope.
Yeah.
Technically, if you get found out, but no one's going to pay attention to that because as long as the post office are making money, they'll turn a blind eye. But technically, it is illegal to sell porn via mail order.
Oh. Okay.
Well, in this country, anyway. In this country, that's why one of our members is a company called Your Choice, and they're a distributor. They were based in Holland, and they have to mail order from the country outside.
Okay.
So coming in, you can buy pornography through the mail coming in. Well, actually, technically, no, you can't, but it's easier to do it that way and legally to do it that way. But in the UK, you're not meant to be selling pornography by mail order.
Every organisation has got haters, protagonists, and anti-campaigners. Who are UKAP's biggest and more active, protesters? you like that question, huh?
I do like that one, yeah. And I've been at war with them, but not in a malicious way. We've had people like Object, who we've had some anti-porn campaigners, radical feminists who think we enslave women, and the funny thing is that they turned up at our recent UKAP awards outside of their placards and everything, and the girls were all dressed up, looked at them, and they approached them, and I just thought to myself, do these girls really look like victims to you? If anything, I think women are more empowered because they're the ones that tell you they want to work for you or not.
That's right.
Producers respect that. We do respect our women, and just because we're having sex with them on camera doesn't mean we're disrespecting them. You've got to remember, men and women have desires, and and they do actually like what they do.
Yes, and
the fact that they're actually getting paid,
sex. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and the fact that they're getting paid and making a living, more than they would if they were working in an office, and plus they get to travel, they get to live this this existence where they're traveling. They can go to the States, they can go to Europe. Their schedule isn't set in an office. They're set all over the place. They get to see more of the UK than they ever would have done. These are well-travelled people now. They're getting to see people in the world. And this is why I think that people who are in the sex business have a broader view of people in the world.
Yes, and they're more. They have a bigger sense of understanding of and perception about personalities and the characters
and the human and all round the human condition.
That's correct. That is correct. You just made me think of a scenario. The radical feminists protect the women, of course, because from what they consider to be exploitation in the porn industry.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Sorry, Charlie, I got to butt in there. No, they don't. They're actually quite malicious, horrible, vile people. To me, I would put them. I'd put most of them as a hate group.
Yeah,
I've got examples of that. I've got physical examples of that. Where they're standing outside venues calling, "This is what a rapist looks like." So you're basically accusing us of rape. You do realise you're saying that in front of a police officer. So let's go there. I said, why are you being silly? What do you mean rape? What, just because a man is having sex with a woman, suddenly is it all rape in your eyes? That is some real radical feminist stuff that is just blind. It's just illogical. Your way of thinking is illogical. I said, look. I said, if you really are concerned about the women, okay, why don't you speak to some of the women? And when some of them actually do attempt to speak to some of the women, they're saying, "Oh, what do you expect? You're brainwashed. You're just speaking for your paymasters." I remember hearing that term. You're speaking for your paymasters. As if to say that we're pimping these girls out. I think these girls work for themselves. They're self-employed. Some girls don't are very picky in who they work for. They only want to work for a specific kind of producer who produces a specific kind of work. If those girls were victims, they'd be working for everybody.
Wow, this is such an interesting conversation. You're tuned into Adult Industry Talk, and with me is Terry Stevens from the UK, from UKAP, which is the UK Adult Producers Association. Terry, very, very interesting stuff here. I'm thinking, if the radical feminists think they're protecting women, who is protecting the men? Actually, I would like to start some lobbying for men. My first protest would be stop discriminating against men with small dicks, because I would finally get some work.
You know what? There's a place in this world for guys with small dicks too. There was a site. There's a site called Hey Little Dick, okay? And literally all it is, and they get to work with some nice girls as well. And it was a bit. Do you know the funny thing is, women want to talk about how men are women are exploited.
Yeah.
I beg to differ. I think men are exploited. I think men get abused. I mean, you've got these sites, ball kicking sites, where guys get kicked in the balls, and I think, who's protecting them? Who's protecting these guys from the abuse that they've consented to, if you like? And this is the most important word, I think, with this business. Consent is that people do what they do by choice. They've agreed to do it because they want to do it. And I would think that part of the remit of female empowerment is that you have that choice to do that. These girls are enacting their rights to say, I want to be a porn star, I want to do porn, I want to have sex on camera, I want to make a living out of it, thank you very much. Yes. But when they start getting attacked by other females who claim to be protecting them, as we call them, rescuers, because these radical feminists seem to think that they're rescuing these girls from a life of debauchery, and it's like they just don't get it. I said that's all part of the female choice. Back in the days before the suffragette movement, you never had a choice to vote back then. Now you can vote. Now you can do all these things. I mean, and also another thing is that I've noticed, and I'm probably going to come across as a bit wrong because I'm a male, but I don't think anyone has ever held a woman back from her real potential of being producing. I see a lot of women now who are there's a lot more female producers coming into the business. And all they ever seem to sort of hang on to is this whole, we're ethical more than the males and this and that. And I think you don't listen. You know what? You can't be oppressed and become the oppressor now. All right? I said, we're on an equal footing here. We are producers, whether you're male or female, black or white. I said, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Charlie, because we're of the same colour anyway, so I feel like I'm entitled to say this. But I said that, it reminds me of that whole thing back in the 70s when black people used to say, you can't get nowhere in a white man's world. And I think that's just rubbish. I said, I look at other cultures. And they seem to be buying into their own people. They're creating an infrastructure within their neighbourhood. They're having their own shops. I said, no, this is some loser mentality. I said, if you want to make something yourself in this world, you can make it. Okay, because I'll tell you the reason why I say that, because I don't see a white man actually holding you down. I only see you saying negative stuff, but I don't see no white man called John saying, we can't have you doing that, sir. No, we can't have you doing that. And I said, if you ever hear a man ever tell you that you can't do that, then I suggest that you do it just to prove him wrong.
Absolutely. And on that note, I'm going to... we have to bring this show to a close. It just was so exciting. We've gone over time, but it was amazing. I want to ask one final question, Terry. What would you like to be your legacy after your chairmanship?
That I brought some sense to a chaotic industry.
That's a good response. I like that. Well, Terry, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come on our show this morning. It's been very informative, very exciting, and I would like to think that at some time in the future you can come back and give us an update of what's going on within the
absolutely. I'm glad you had me on the show today, and yes, of course, I'll be glad to be back. Well, I mean, I do wear different hats, by the way. I mean, okay. I am a producer as well. I mean, today I've got my UKAP hat on. But I am a producer. I also run a site called itsadult.com, which is a directory for the adult industry. So anybody who's new to the business, they can sign up there and we can help them get work.
Brilliant. Could you give us some addresses? First of all, how can people get in touch with UKAP, and then how do they get in touch with you as a producer, and then that website? Let's start with UKAP.
Well, I'll tell you, the quickest way to follow us is on Twitter. So we've got a Twitter account at UKAPHQ, all capital letters. There's also It's Adult, which is our directory, which is we call our a more commercial arm, where we disseminate a lot of information there. Also, I'm also known as Naked Truth Guy. This is my account because a lot of my opinions do not tie in with the body politic of UKAP, if that makes sense. Because I'm a bit of a campaigner activist as well, and I don't think other people should have to suffer from my opinions sometimes. Because I'm a figurehead in UKAP, it made sense to have a profile away.
Yes.
So I'm also known as Naked Truth Guy, and what I do is I dispel a lot of the myths about the adult industry where I see it. So when people start saying, especially radical feminists, I'm warring with radical feminists all the time. But I also answer. I'm also there to talk about sensible things with people who've got suggestions as well. Like when people say, "Oh, don't you think the adult industry should be regulated?" And the question to that would be, regulated by whom? I tell you what, UKAP seems to be at the forefront at the moment. Maybe we should all meet up at there and discuss. It doesn't have to be UKAP regulating anything because producers have been self-regulating for years.
Of course, UKAP should spearhead that dialogue.
I think we should, but we prefer to do it diplomatically, democratically, where people say, "Do you know what? You guys seem to be doing this all the time. Can we use you?" Yeah, of course you can. That's what we're here for.
Well, actually, now that you've talked about that, It's Adult. That's the podcast as well, isn't it?
Do you know what? We have a bunch of podcasts on there. We've got one from a male performer called Kai Taylor, who's a regular performer in Europe, and he talks about all things to do with his personal worldview being in the adult industry, which kind of can be irksome to producers. But I advise producers to listen to him because it's the first time you'll ever get a chance to listen to a male performer having his viewpoint, and I think from that we can learn a lot. Even whether he's right or wrong makes no difference. It's about listening to him, and I said by listening to people is the beginning of the solution.
Fantastic. Okay, well, we've come to the end of this episode of Adult Industry Talk. Terry, again, I want to thank you very much. It's been very informative, and we will stay in touch. We'll speak off air because I would like to know how I can support your organization in a bigger way, and any of the causes that you have, if any of those initiatives I can be part of. So thank you very much. We're going to bring the show to a close. Terry, we are going to bring this conversation to an end, but it's not the last one. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have come to the end of this episode of Adult Industry Talk. I would like to thank our sponsors, guests, and our production team. I would also like to thank our listeners for tuning in and giving us an audience. We appreciate your support. If you have an interesting experience, opinion, or agenda about the sex or adult industry to share with our audience, we invite you to be a guest on the show. Please contact our production team at charliespice@gmail.com or visit our website at adultindustrytalk.com. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast. You can listen to a repeat of this episode in the archives at any time in the future. Simply go to our website and follow the links. I am your host, Charlie Spice, saying bye for now, peace and love, I'm out.